Well, this is Baruch here. I'm at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and it's time for me to start getting into the Kriat Shemah. We're coming to the end of the first drush, and there were some questions in the last time that we came through there, and I read the Rav all the way through, which was it's a little bit longer than the average. I didn't understand everything. The question that was over here is, he says, Gam Yivor Sham, Masha Amr Chazal, Yehi Adam Zachar B'Tefilas of Mincha. A person had to be careful at the time of Mincha. So he says, Shahare Eliyahu Zal, Lo Ne'ena, Ella B'Mincha. So the question is that what was this all about? What does Eliyahu have to do with this? And then in the Rav himself, he started combining Cain, Nadav and Avihu, and Eliyahu and Navi, of course, and Pinchas. The question is what is this all about? So I think that where we start over here is on number Yod Ches, and we're just going to be reading the Tivah Kavanos for understanding. So he says, Nizboyer Ba'orech, and we're going to get into the Shakayin Hu HaNefesh the Adam Berisha. Now remember that the lights that inhabit us, that give us light, are divided into 5 different qualities. The lowest one being the quality called Nefesh. So he says that Cain is the Nefesh of Adam Arisha. V'sham nizbar gam came inyan iver nefashos hanizgar be'Eliyahu, and then there's a concept by Eliyahu of iver nefashos. I'm not sure what that is. Be'ech Pinchas, who was the Kohen Gadol, he became Eliyahu, he becomes Eliyahu, Achashinis Aber Minadav V'Avihu, after he was reincarnated in Nadav and Avihu. Now, this is all very, very elusive for me. He says, Kayin Koy Bebechinas Nefesh to Adam Rishon. So let's go back over to that. But Nefesh to Adam Rishon, Nisaver Benadav and Avihu. They were reincarnated. That Nefesh. Now remember, Nefesh is the lowest of the lights. It's the lights that refer to the physical sense of that is the physicality of a person. That keeps his physicality alive. That's the way I understand it. And so therefore it's written by Mises Adav and Adav and Avihu, Anachnis Demeim the Nefesh Adam, that we are become Tome over there. The quote is from the Pasuk that we're Tameim Nefesh Adam, of the Nefesh of Adam. Which is the Nefesh of Adam? And he said that's Cain. So he explains, Pirushu Hushanitmuhu Betumas Meis Shel Nadav V'Avihu. They became Tome as they dealt with Nadav and Avihu, the tomb of Meis. V'hem Atzben Kol Nefesh to Adam Arisha, but they themselves were the Nefesh of Adam Arisha. The Pinchas Kashahara Zimri, Pinchas, once he killed Zimri, Zochel the Bedregas Nadav Avihu. He was Zocha to the level of Nadav and Avihu, who were Kohanim, obviously the first sons of Aaron the Kohen, and Pinchas is down the line. Shehim Hoyu Nefesh the Adam Arishan, because they represented the Nefesh of Adam Arishan, but they came Nishtana Pinchas the Eliyahu, and that's the reason why his name was changed from Pinchas to Eliyahu. Now, the question is, so since he's a reincarnate, that they're Nefashos, and maybe it's important for us to understand from Shara Gilgulim, from the Rav, that reincarnation is just not like a lump sum, like this soul got reincarnated into that, but there's actually different aspects of the souls that are reincarnated, and they change, and they come and go. This I remember from Shara Gilgulim. So it says, Eliyahu Zed Pinchas, so there comes out that Eliyahu is Pinchas. Now why? Achashinis Adrabo Nefesh the Nadav and Avihu, that is after Pinchas acquired the Nefashos of Nadav and Avihu, Shehem Nefesh to Adam Rishon, which are related to the Nefesh of Adam Rishon, V'lechein Eliyahu b'gematria, the gematria of Eliyahu, if you add up all these letters, they come to the number Ben, which is 52, which refers to Malchus, which is the level of Nefesh. Kevin Shah Nefesh Hu Malchus, so that the Nefesh is actually the light of Malchus, he Shem Ben, and Malchus is Ben. He Gam Bechinas Man the Malchus, and so it is also that this Nefesh is also the beginnings of Mayim Nuchnin the Malchus, which meaning the prayer from the bottom. Nimsa Shaliyahu Hu Man the Malchus. So it comes out like this. If you track all of this down, it comes out that Eliyahu is the Mayim Nukvin of Malchus. It represents the prayer of Malchus, and that's the reason why he is answered at the Tefillah of Mincha. What's Mincha got to do with it? Kevin Shaha'ala Haman Shalom Malchus, and it's once, that is, that he brought up the Mayim Nukvin, that is all the pleading, all of the needs, all of the pains of the world. He was able to elevate that. Because this is when Malchus needs to produce man. Now, let's go on over here and let's see some more. Now, this is all very, very unusual. So then he says, Rochel Nikra Nuktiza. So we say this all the time. She's called the female aspect of Zah. There's a lot to be said about that, but we'll leave it like this. So it's Malchus. Malchus is the Nuktiza. He umedes ba'ach shel Zah. She stands in the back of Zah, min hachazu shaloch v'lamata, from his chest going down. V'sham b'chazu hu hamakom shel leiv d'zer anpin. So at the chest, that's the place where you find the heart of zer anpin. V'lechein he nikros libum, another word for, that's in plural. She's not called leiv, she's called libum, their heart. Al Shem she'omedet b'makom b'leiv shel zer anpin, because she's standing at the place of the heart of zer anpin. Of Zman shel Eliyahu, in the time of Eliyahu, hoisa hanuk omedet ba'ach shel zer anpin min hachaz lamata. She was in her proper place, in her normal place, at the chaz of zer anpin, going downwards. V'zeh sheton Eliyahu v'libet zechus yisod. This is the claim of Eliyahu when he was really finding the good, better qualities of the Jewish people. Shesibis chatasam hu machmas shal malchus amedes ba'ach shel zer anpin. And she said the reason for this is because the malchus is standing around the back of zer anpin, and the back is associated with dinim. Mach shal malchus amedes ba'ach shel zer anpin. Minachaz lamata v'lo lamala minachaz, but never rises above that. Rak, he says, Rak. He omedet b'makom b'leiv shel zer anpin. She stands at the place of zer anpin. The zehu apirush. Now let's explanation of this phrase. Va'ata hasibos es libum. Shehi hamalchus achronis. Now I don't know the word sibos. Let me see if I got something down here. I've got a cough here. So it's a pasuk in Malachim. Give me 1 second. I'm going to look it up. 1 second. So, all right, so I came over and I looked this up while I was in the intermission there. V'ata hasibu says libon, and you turned their hearts backward. What's this thing? What does that mean to say that the heart is facing Malchus, which is in the back? Shehi Malchus achronis, so she's in the back. Since Malchus is not in the front and not producing Shefa, along with zer anpin in a yichud, but she's in an opposite of a yichud, she's in a defensive position, and therefore she's being attacked by the Kali. And they cause the Jews to sin. So therefore Eliyahu came along and he fixed it. She lifted him, the Malchus, up on the back of zer anpin, ad rosho mamish, until his prayers, his being able to deal with the mayim nukvin, which is the ability to be able to express your needs and what you and the problems that you have, that Malchus has. He's able to build her up along the back of zer anpin. And once she reaches the head of zer anpin, there was the Kali were not able to reach the level that they could attack her at, because she's now reached the head of Zeir Anpin. That's what he says. Because the head is an area, the Chabad is an area that the Kali can't deal with. And that's the reason why the Jewish people then came along and they said this phrase, Hashem Elokim. And they took upon themselves the yoke of the kingdom of heaven. Now Rachel is another word for Malchus. So since Rachel is standing with Zeir Anpin, and they are back to back from that position going downwards, Panachon Magulin, that means that her face is revealed. And they're not able to now let me see if I can understand it. She's back to back with Zeir Anpin. Let me read it again. So their face is revealed, and as a result of that, the Kali can't attack her face. Because her face is facing outward. And he's telling us a rule. He's telling us that the Kali cannot suck. They cannot, feed off of the face. But on the other hand, when you go down from below the chaza, then the chitzonim cannot suck off of this. But when she's up above, well, it's a complicated little thing. So it comes out that if Leah, and I'm going to read this again, if Leah is facing Zeir Anpin, that means that her backside is revealed. And they suck off of the ach of Leah. Like the Rav says like this, the Kesser, the Rachel that enter into the Kesser of Rachel. Kamosha Kosev Eitz Chaim, that's written like this in Eitz Chaim. So therefore, when the nook goes all the way up to the top of Zeir Anpin, they're not able, furthermore, to be able to suck off of the lights of Zeir Anpin. Because she's now over the whole height of Zeir Anpin. Her face is facing outwards, and therefore they're not able to do that. Then I can suck off of her face. Now it seems like it was a whole lot there, and as a result of that, I feel like I got to read it again. So let's look over here and let's see where it says like this. It says, "V'kevan sherochel omedes imza ach ba'ach min nechaza lamata. Panaho magulin. Her face is revealed. V'hakeli enem yocholim leyonek min panaho. So the Keli are not really causing a tremendous problem there. Kevin shebanahu hu b'chutz, because she's facing outwards. Now that's the fact that he's telling us. They can't suck off of the face, they can only suck off the body. When you go down below the chaza, the kitzonim can't attack, because her face is there. It's a protecting her. Now, but now let's look, that's where Rachel is located from the chest going downwards. We had that concept about the heart. But aval l'malam in the chaza. But if you go up above the chaza, yeshanika the hitzande b'makom Leah. But there you have Leah. Now we're not getting into all the details of how Leah is related to Zeir Anpin, but Leah, he's saying over here, is facing the back of the head of Zeir Anpin, meaning that her back is exposed to the Kali. So she is v'makom leo medizim Zeir Anpin panim ba'ach, her face to his back. But nimsaj acharacho kol begulim, and it comes out like that the back of Leah, that is the area from the chaza lamala of Zeir Anpin, this is going upwards, is revealed. V'hakali yom came mina ach shal Leah, and they're able then, as a result of that, to suck off of the suck shefa of kedusha off of the back of Leah. Kamosha Kosev a Rab, like the Rab writes like this. Became yesh yunika the kali b'makom ikve Leah haniknasa bekeser the Rachel. Not only that, but we have also a principle that the feet of Leah enter into the top of Rachel. Imagine your body, and imagine that you have a partzif on your back which starts at your chest, and another partzif that starts above the chest, going upwards. So you have one going from the chest down, one going from the chest up. So he said, Bekesed the Rachel. So he said, it turns out the partzif on the top, the one of the chest upwards, also has feet that enter in to the partzif that's below the chazir. Kamosha Kosev be'etz chaim. V'lakein kashi Eliyahu tikun adav chazecha v'alsa hanuk ach ba'ach shava b'kol kuma Zeir Anpin. So then now what happens like this. At mincha time, as we said previously, the nukva, that is Rachel, grows all the way up to the height of Zeir Anpin. And as a result of that, she covers up the back of the head of Zeir Anpin with her face facing outwards, meaning that she can't be attacked. So therefore they stop sucking off of the lights of Zeir Anpin. So since the fact is that she's back to back with all of the height of Zeir Anpin, and her face is facing outward, and they're not able to feed off of the side of the face. This is what Eliyahu was able to do, he says. He was able to bring up Mayim Nukvin from Malchus. That Mayim Nukvin that came from Malchus allowed the shepherd to come down to grow the Nukva up to the whole back side of Zeir Anpin, with her face in a defensive position facing outwards to protect her and him from the Kali. Let's go on. Let's see, there's a little bit more. Is there a little bit more? Okay. There's a little bit more. Kol hayom hu b'klal le'inyan hakilukim shel Kriat Shemah. Now, talking about the differences in the Kriat Shemah. He says, Kol hayom hu b'klal mamshalas hadechura. The whole day, we always say this is the concept of the sun, is the control of the male aspect. And even if the time changes after Chatzos, right? Because we say that after Chatzos Hayom, there's already, you're getting into a situation of Gevura. But since it's still daytime, so therefore it's still considered to be the rulership of the male aspect. So therefore the yichud for Abba ve'ima, and that as a result of the shefa that is produced from the yichud that takes place in Shachris between Abba ve'ima, pouring into Zeir Anpin, there's still an abundance of light there. There's enough there to promote a yichud at mincha time. So therefore you don't have to say a second time a Kriat Shemah lifnei tefilas hamincha, because the shefa that was produced as a result of the Kriat Shemah produces a yichud between Abba ve'ima, which feed into Zeir Anpin and his nok. So here it's still left over, and it's sufficient to be able to produce that yichud again in mincha time. They're all in the daytime, Shahu Bisman Mem Shalos of the Chura, which is the time when the male aspect is in charge. So we still have a little bit more to go. Avazman Tefilas Arvis, Shahu Balayla, Fahu Mem Shalos Anuk. This is the time that the Nuk is in control. This is the female's time. Nipsak v'nigbar hamaman b'shnei zivugim. Now the two zivugim that we have done earlier in the day, they've already stopped. B'shnecha zivugim shel zav v'nuk hanaasa b'shnecha tefila shel shachra v'midcha kevin shehem koya b'zman shel hanhagos adachura. Because at that time, what was in the minhag, the minhag of the male aspect produced yichudim, but it's done already. But now we're in the Hanhagas Anuk. We're in a female Hanhaga. So v'lechein sarach lomer ata Kriat Shemah. So therefore we have to say Kriat Shemah now. Kadei lezaveg es ava ve'ima v'lahamshag mezivugim mochen ezer anpin v'nuk. So therefore you need, it's a different time, it's a different sequence, everything is different, the atmosphere is different. So therefore you need another Kriat Shemah. Kadei shezav v'nuk yizdavgu b'tevidas arvis. Rak zivug shal ach ba'ach. But remember, this is a zivug which we call ach ba'ach, and we defined it previously as a yichud with the outer kalim of zachar v'nuk. Kevin shuhu bisman alayla. Moving on. B'tefilas arvis hu zivug Yaakov v'Leah l'mala min hachaza. At the night time, the yichud that takes place is Yaakov and Leah above the chaza panim b'panim. So now Yaakov has grown up to the level of Leah. That's what I think. I'm not sure. And as a result of that, they're having a yichud there between the two of them, and they're facing each other. But Rachel, who's really the Malchus, she's standing on the back of Zer Anpin still, from the chaza going downward. So therefore this is called a yichud of ach ba'ach lamata min hachaza. It's called a yichud of ach ba'ach lamata min hachaza. Masha ein kain b'mincha sh'rachel omedet ba'ach shalo shava b'shava, which is not the same thing. That there she is having a yichud with her whole height is the same as Yaakov, as Zer Anpin. So therefore she's called back to back, and they're equal height. So we understand in at mincha time, the yichud is above the chazer, with Leah, between Leah and Yisrael, which is the part of Zer Anpin, which is from the chazer lamala, panim b'panim. Nimsa shachamiris nefilas apayim. So it comes out like this, that when you are falling on your face, you're saying nefilas apayim, hu b'shnei anfonim. It's in two different ways. Or that Rachel, we say, is in the front of Zer Anpin, and she has reached his height, and this is the yichud of Shachris. Afilu l'mata min hachaza, even down below. Oh, afilu kasha omedet ba'ach shel Zer Anpin, or even when she's in the back of Zer Anpin, davka kasha tofeses kol ha'makom shel ach to Zer Anpin. The main part is, at mincha time, she holds the entire back of Zer Anpin. V'hi shaveh lo, and she's the same height as him. But when she's standing down below in the back of Zer Anpin, ein nefilas apayim, there is no tachnon. So he's saying that in my time, her position of Rachel is not in a position made for a yichud. And I'll just summarize that a little bit because it seems a little bit complicated. Is that in the morning time, there is a nesira, and the nukva goes all the way around to the front of Zer Anpin, and they have a yichud face to face, is the highest level of yichud. And on the other hand, in the mincha time, she's still on the back of Zer Anpin, but she goes up to the whole height of Zer Anpin, which produces a certain level of kedusha. It's not the same as panim b'panim, but a certain level of kedusha. But at nighttime, it's not there. It's something else. Let's talk about that. Who's zivug yoser cholosh? It's a yichud that's weaker. Which would happen at Kriat Shemah the Shachris. Now, over Shefach Yotze Mechach Zivug Shel Abba Ve'ima, but the Shefach that comes out of that, Gorm Sherochel Ta'amod Rak Ach Ba'ach Im Zer Anpin, it causes that Rachel only stands back to back with Zer Anpin. V'gam Hi Rak Lamata Min the Chaza, she's only below the Chaza. She Neged Halev Shel Zer Anpin, that's where she is, V'lo Lamalam is that, not above that. V'lechein, Kevin Shel Zivug Shel Abba Ve'ima Shenaasa B'Kriyat Shemah, who's Zivug Cholish, so since it's a weaker Zivug, V'chein ein koach b'chazivug hakul shel Abba ve'ima lahamshik od hamshacha milvad hakriyat shema chazai. So there is no more strength to be able to bring down more shefa other than what they bring down through this kriyat shema. Masha ein came b'shachris, not the same thing b'shachris. Shenaasa b'kriyat shema zivug me'ulu ba'Abba ve'ima makes a very, very high level yichud of Abba ve'ima. V'chein nimshach mizeh sheyeh zivug zav v'nok pane b'pane b'tefilah shachris, that their yichud will be face to face in shachris. V'gam nimshach mizecha b'koach zivug zav v'nok ha'naasa b'tefilah mincha, that also is so powerful that it's able to actually carry over to mincha time, and a yichud between zer anpen and his nok that will take place at mincha time, but it's ach ba'ach shehu zivug Yisrael v'leah, and they call this yichud the yichud of Yisrael and Leah. Now, there's a lot to be known about this in these different times, but we're going to keep going on. So he said, Milvad ma shamoel hakriya shema shel arvis, besides the help that comes to kriya shema that is brought in as a result of the kriya shema, the arvis lachamshech hamochin zer anpin v'nuk, in order to bring mochin to zer anpin in his nuk. The reason for this is that the hamshech mochin zav v'nuk is to bring mochin into zav and nuk, in order to be able to produce a yichud that will come down to the partzufa of Yaakov Leil l'malam in the chaza. That Yaakov rises up above the chaza, and here we are down here. And of the Leil l'malam in the chaza, yesh od davar she'oze kriya shema shel arvis. So then he adds like this. So he says there's something else that happens as a result of the kriya shema of arvis, and he says mo'ila the seich koich l'zav v'nuk, it helps to bring strength in the zer anpen in the nuk, la'asals chibuk b'chatzos, to make a hugging, that's the preliminary to yichud, at midnight. Nimsa shebekriya shema shel arvis yesh nei debarim. So there's two things we have to understand here. One is the zivug of Yaakov and Leah, lamala min hachazer, v'chibuk za v'nuk b'chatzos, and all the chibuk that takes place with their anpen of the nuk at midnight. Masha ein kain kriya shema shel shachris, which is not the case of the kriya shema in the morning. Shagarnim shnei zivugi za v'nuk, because it causes two zivugim of zer anpen in his nuk. Zivug zav v'nuk shehem Yaakov v'Rachel to tefilas shachris, because the yichud that we call there, what we call is the yichud of Yaakov and Rachel, which takes place at shachris time. V'zivug Yisrael v'leib to tefilas mincha. So then he says, according to the Rishash, there's something else, Zivug Yaakov v'Rachel the Kalim Gitzonim, which we learned that previously, on the Aseh B'Tefilas Arvis, which takes place at Arvis time. So here we come to the end of this, and we're going to try to finish this up. So he said, Lifnei kol zivug srichim la'asos chibuk. Before there is a yichud, there has to be a hugging. Kamo shehi after l'zav v'nuk lehizdavek, ala'im kibu lifnei zed koyach ma'abba v'ima. So the possibility of making a yichud has to come from the Jews, the koyach that comes from Abba v'ima. Kain after the zacha v'nuk la'asos shum chibuk, but they can't at the same time. You have to have a chibuk first. They can't make a chibuk. Rak im kikablo lifnei zed koyach ma'abba v'ima. So they can only take place, the chibuk, if they get some strength, some Jews from Abba v'ima first. Nimsa shebekriya shema the Arabis mekabel the zacha b'koyach ma'abba v'ima. So it comes out in the kriya shema at nighttime that there is a power that comes from an energy that comes from Abba V'Ima, the Chabek as a matronisa, the Chatzis Alayla, which is called the hugging of the female entity, or the queen, let's say, so to speak, the matronisa, the Chatzis Alayla, that's the Shechina. The Zivugam Emiti Yihye B'Yom Be'ez Miras Tefilas Afayim, and the real true yichud that takes place, there is a hugging that takes place at nighttime, at midnight. But the real true yichud that takes place with them really takes place at Shach. That's the strongest yichud. Aval Kriat Shemah Shalamita. Let's talk about the Kriat Shemah Shalamita. Hakavanu hu lezaveg es Abba Ve'ima. The kavana there, when you're saying that, it's another Kriat Shemah, to make a yichud between Abba Ve'ima v'yam shichu mizivugam koich lezav anuk, and as a result of that yichud, to pour down onto them from Yamshicha Mizivugam Koich Lezavanuk, Kadesh Bechatzos Alayla Kushaoilin Neshama B'nei Adam Lamalchus. And listen to this. He says, what do you need this for, this yichud at Kriat Shemah, at Kriat Shemah Lalamita? Kadesh Bechatzos Alayla, so that midnight, Kushaoilin Neshama B'nei Adam Lamalchus, when our neshamas start moving up into Malchus. Besod man, Yuchlu Hazav Anuk Lachadesh Nishmosechem V'Lachazek Besod Chadash and the Bekarim. So it gives them the strength to be able to perform and to be new in the morning, so that they can come about and make this ultimate yichud. So he said, Besod Yelik the Bekarim Kamosh Shemivorach and Rab B'Charuch L'Kamon. It's going to be explained later in detail. Masha Ana Korem Kriat Shemah Shalamita. So what we do, and when we say the Kriat Shemah Shalamita, Hugdei Lahamshech Man. No, he said the Kedei Lahamshech Min Hayichud the Kriat Shemah. Pull down from that, from the Yichud of Kriat Shemah. There we go. Where are we? Who kadei lahamshech min hayichud the Kriat Shemah koich lezav anuk, power to Zer Anpin and his nuk, kadei she is davgu lachadesh v'lachazek, as the neshamas ha'olim sham, in order that as the neshamas are coming up into Gan Eden, as we're sleeping besod man, and this is all moving upwards, which is going to bring Shefa downwards. So it comes out that at nighttime there are two things. Now this subject is discussed in other places, and maybe we can learn a lot in other places as well as we go along. The whole idea is to make a preparation in the background. The zivug shel haboker, for the zivug that's taking place in the morning. She'eris HaKriat Shemah the Arabis. And this because also of the leftovers that we got from the Kriat Shemah at nighttime. That's one. V'hasheni, Zivug Zav Anuk, is the yichud that takes place between Zer Anpin and his Nuk, Kadei Lachadesh V'Lachazek and the Shamos, in order to be able to strengthen the Shamos, which are going up during sleep. Ma'asim HaKoyach Kriat Shemah Shalamita, so it comes through the power of the Kriat Shemah Alamita. Well, that was a lot. But we got through that, and now we're coming to the beginning of the second drush. This is Baruch Fleisch.